crypto's down. How does that affect how you think about the business?
Crypto is down, but digital assets is up, right? Because at the end of the day, like if you believe in open source financial rails, then that's not going to change in the long run.
So we want to record a podcast interview on this thing.
What's your guys' podcast called?
It's called In Practice. It's about AI shit.
My name is Ethan. I am the co-founder and CEO of Allium. What we do at Allium is very simple. We take in all the world's blockchain data, petabytes of it, normalize it, and serve it for analytics use cases.
What are the sort of things that you would use Allium to build in terms of this data source? Because what's interesting about Allium is it is a data warehouse, and it is a more kind of expansive system of record for all of these transactions.
Yes.
And so I'm a little bit curious, how you think that it powers people that want to build on top of these financial mechanisms.
You think of Allium as a data warehouse with quote unquote batteries included. We not only manage the warehouse, but we also are the domain experts in the data ourselves.
Right.
And anyone that touches stablecoins, tokenized assets, degenerates losing the money, builders, and we are that extra pairs of eyes, ears with the data to back it up.
Got it. Do you focus mainly on the application layer or the data warehouse layer? Or should I think of you more as a sort of Omni or more of Snowflake?
It's a bit of both, but I think first and foremost, think of us as the Snowflake with a very specialized vertical data set.
Yeah.
And the Omni layer comes more of how we let our customers choose how to visualize their insights and their dashboards. So we play less in that. We do have our own UI and terminal, and that usually gets people very excited. So usually when customers go from hey, I got my initial level of insights at Allium to I want to productionize it, I want to operationalize it. And that's when we let our customers choose their own adventure, whether they want to use Omni or any of the other tools or their own MCP servers, what have you.
There's been this absolute craze and this extreme zeitgeist around sort of data agents. I've talked about it here a lot, but I've also worked in the space quite a bit. And there are these agents that can reason over data, and people start asking a lot of almost existential questions of do we need specialized infrastructure and products for working with data when agents can just read that data? And so one question I have for you is what does blockchain data look like?
So I know I've been using data warehouse database as an analogy for blockchains. I would say that metaphor is the analogy actually has its limits. Think of the blockchain as more of a globally decentralized computer.
Yeah.
It's a Turing machine and not just a database. What does that mean? So it not only just records financial activity, wallet A moving value to wallet B.
Yeah.
It's a Turing machine that is permissionless, that anyone in the world, a 12-year-old can ship a smart contract and to just lose money or win, or make money or do anything. And so it has this structured element that it's reminiscent of your typical financial database. Be it's still very messy, a million different tokens and contracts, but there's the other part here that it's very chaotic, right? Because imagine you're leading an engineering team and you let any engineer in a company just deploy anything into production, whatever they want, even every single hackathon project, and you compound that and you make that a million times exponentially more messy, and that's what the state of blockchain is today, right? So it's that both, it's structured, but there's also this structured but uninterpretable piece of it. And that's really where Allium comes in, on top of the infrastructure layer, where we have our domain experts to understand, decode these protocols, these smart contracts, and even figure out which are the ones that are meaningful to decode as well, because not everything is useful information.
Got it. So y'all are responsible for kind of putting this into a cohesive, usable thing. How is blockchain data queried? Is it queried in a very SQL type way? Is it more of this unstructured data collection? Yeah, what does it look like to work with blockchain data, even maybe pre and post Allium?
Blockchains are fundamentally designed for writing data to the blockchain, because blockchains were designed for consensus. If I send something to the blockchain, it better happen. That's why it's immutable, it's amazing, it's global, no one can rewrite it, and there's that guarantee that if I say I did this, it most probably happen, right? So a lot of the consensus mechanisms, like the copies around the world, were just optimized for making sure that when you send something to the blockchain, it happens. Most of the developers and programmers that designed most of the standards and protocols had no intention of making data queryability like easy. And to give a concrete technical example here, even take the most OG one, Bitcoin. If you want to understand a point in time balance, you actually have to ingest for a specific wallet. You have to ingest time from Genesis block, and then you have to like sum it all the way today, right? So you think about like that doesn't really happen in most systems today, right? You don't need to store the terabytes, petabytes of data just to get an answer a point in time.
I see.
So you can't just like, hey, I need the data today, I can, but because you always need the full historical context because the blockchains are a pen-only structure.
Got it. Yeah. I see. And so do you store like epochs, or sort of like, do you store state and time snapshots of the network?
We store the entire blockchain, and on top of that, we go a couple steps deeper where for each block we get a lot of metadata, and so we blow up the volume even more by getting the balance of every single wallet for every token, every block height.
Wow.
And a lot of these are not, they're not on the blockchain itself. You have to query the blockchain to get the result. And the reason why we can brute force a lot of it is because the whole premise of Allium is like, we do all this infrastructure so that our customers don't have to, right?
Right.
Like just because I'm interested in one wallet, 10 wallets, over 2 years, why do I need to spend millions of dollars to ingest the entire blockchain, maintain the state, make it verifiable? And we just take the brute force approach and make it easy for our customers.
Yeah. And so what do you do if you don't have Allium? Do you just have to sort of like build these very, very large jobs that go and compute massive, like historical basically summations or aggregations?
Yeah. Summations, cumulative sums. So one of our big customers, when he started using Allium, he said it's like going from the caveman ages to the modern world in one step, right? Because like he used to do all this indexing himself. He used to do, and they were brittle, and he was one person in the entire company maintaining every single protocol, every blockchain that his company was touching, and he was also dealing with all the questions that his business stakeholders were asking him.
Yeah.
And the moment he used Allium, he was like, wait a minute, like my 2-3 years of work is now replaced with Allium, and now I get so much more, right? And I think that is the type of value that we bring to our customers, and that's the value that also drew me into this space. So my title is Chief Data Plumber, and what we do at Allium, it's like we sometimes just do the tankless work for the industry, such that everybody can understand and let the pipes flow, right? And I don't think people understand how big of a problem plumbing is until it breaks.
Yeah. So besides data plumbing, you talked a little bit about a BI person and using like traditional data warehouses. Like, what's the equivalent of a BI person for crypto? Like, when you're designing products, who are you thinking like, I'm gonna make this kind of person's life a whole lot better?
So this BI person or data scientist is a persona that I have lived in the past, not in the blockchain space, but me personally, because I used to work as a data scientist.
Yeah.
And everybody knows if you're a data scientist or even a PhD researcher, and like, what is 99.9% of your pain points every single day? It's
plumbing.
It's the plumbing. It's the data plumbing, right?
Totally.
Like you learn all these fancy algorithms in class, the professors, the proofs, the E equals MC squares of machine learning, the gradient descent, like hyperparameter optimization strategies.
Yeah.
And then you come and you go like, wait, but garbage in, garbage out, right? And so that lesson has always stuck with me. And in terms of like what you don't want to do, 99% of the work is the data plumbing piece. And spiritually, that's more like a negative way to look at it, like how to reduce a pain point. But the more positive way of looking at it is that if I am a data scientist, a business analyst, what is the thing that would make me thrive? Why did I even become a data scientist in the first place? And because I'm curious. I'm curious about the world. I'm curious about the business. I'm curious about how data helps to shape decisions. And if we can reduce the cost of curiosity, right? Like if we reduce the cost of curiosity with one, right? And so what does reducing the cost of curiosity mean? Number one, of course, you remove all the pain points for the plumbing piece. But number two, you design really good data UX. Like how to design, now I think it's gonna become a thing in AI, but like it's how to design the right data UX such that when a data scientist looks at your schemas, right, it becomes like Lego blocks. It's like, why do I need to do? So we used to put this on our job requirement to hire data analyst at Allium is like, are you frustrated by one more left join that you need to with null values? Like that's part of the job. If you are just as frustrated about one unnecessary left join, you should join Allium, because we are trying to make sure that everybody in our space, they don't need to do one more extra left join, right? And it's quite a nice dovetail into where we are with the whole rise of AI agents and like text to SQL, whereby all the work that we've been doing for 4 years has actually prepared us such that the AI agents now, who is data UX the best for other than the BI analyst folks? It's the AI agents. So now they can do even more complex analysis, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, you brought it up, so let's go. I think it's time to talk about some data agents, one of my favorite topics.
Okay,
yeah. So okay, when you think about data science of the future, like what percentage do you think is going to be done by humans?
I do think with the rise of like AI and data agents and companies like Allium formatting everything, I do think where the value started accruing to domain experts, in the end, the leverage actually flips just to people who just know the domain better, who spent decades in something where the traditional data collection mechanisms don't collect, right? It's like, oh, I know if you see this, do that instead. And I think, so the domain experts become more and more important, right? And of course, and so the data analysts would be less of like, I know how to, like manipulate all these tools very well, right? It'll be more of, it'll start to shift towards more of people who know the domain really well. So even for super knowledgeable, high-skilled customers that know crypto data super well, they also just default to the MCP because they don't want to write the queries themselves anymore. Right. And so a lot of that access pattern has shifted because the AI does the first pass. The first pass of the queries. And one of the exciting things is that now what we're starting to see is that usually, some of these really huge companies before that, it was, hey, I need to hire a data science team, I need to build a data engineering team, and then I need to get a crypto data expert to kind of like answer market intel, for example. Now the product manager or the GM or the CEO is just asking our AI service, like, hey, what is the market share? And then I immediately get some sort of preliminary estimate out, and then boom, they can start working from there, right? And so our audience has started to change from just the hardcore data scientist folks to someone who is just trying to ask in English. And I think to me that's very exciting, because now we're starting to touch more and more parts of the organization and deal directly with the stakeholders of our customers.
One of the things that I found when working on data agents is they made me a lot more ambitious in the work that I wanted to do. Before data agents were any good, I would have a certain limitation of what I could get done in a certain amount of time. And so I had bigger questions, I had more curiosity, but I didn't always believe that I had the time to kind of go and like explore all that. Do you see a similar thing with sort of like the tools that you're building on top of Allium, where like the AI tools are expanding how deep people are going into these questions?
Yes, I do see that, right? And like I think the types of questions that people can get into, I think, to just use a very simple example, one of the cases that we have now, let's say when a wallet gets hacked, you want to track what other wallets has touched it. And you want to know whether the money was bridged into like the other 100 plus blockchains they are. Now you can just ask an AI agent and say like, hey, from this address, can you track me all the inflows and outflows of funds up to like 5 hops, 6 hops, right? And so I'm sure anybody in the room here, it's like if you were to do this normally with writing the query yourself, you do it 1 layer, 2 layers, 3 layers. That is a very clear example of, and then every new subsequent joint that you do is gonna take a bit more work to iron out the left join edge cases, the null values and all that, right? And so now with an AI agent, you can actually automate that infinitely, right? And that's one very simple example to go like, from this wallet, how many other wallets did it touch, right? It's like just a search algorithm that's actually done, that sounds simple, but unless you design your entire company around a different data structure, it's actually very hard to execute.
I see. What is different about building data agents for crypto data versus like other data agents? So if I were to compare this to sort of like the things that maybe Snowflake wants to build, like, what would I expect to be different?
Snowflake has just launched their agents in beta or preview, if I'm not mistaken. And so we are a very close partner of Snowflake. I think we're one of the top 5 data providers of Snowflake in the world today, not just in crypto. And I think the difference here is that Snowflake is designing for the general, like every single use case in the world, right?
Yeah.
And Snowflake is also designing for crypto data. They're designing for crypto data teams. They're designing for healthcare teams. They're designing for everyone. Our advantage is we know crypto data better than everybody else. And so when we design data agents, we have all this context engineering of prompts. Like if we see a question like that, go down this path of schemas instead, right? There's a lot of that context engineering that we put on top of it based on what our customers query us, based on our own intuition on like what actually matters in the space.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we have the benefit of just being specialists and domain experts in our space.
Yeah. In the previous episode of In Practice, I talked to, Omni. And later on, then I talked to Jordan from MotherDuck. And so like Jamie and Jordan, they kind of had two differing perspectives on like what data agents should do. So Jamie from Omni was like, oh, the semantic layer is a really essential thing for the BI layer to be providing so that the agents really understand what they should be doing. And then Jordan from MotherDuck was sort of like, we don't think the semantic layer is super key because we are sort of seeing agents that are a lot more agentic and like looping and sort of making lots and lots of like queries. And if you think about the two foci of both of those businesses, one is very focused on a big warehouse with a lot of stakeholders and very complex business logic. And then MotherDuck is a little bit more focused on ultra fast like data warehouse and making a warehouse just insanely fast and inexpensive to query as much as you can. And so it's been interesting to see this like almost like change in perspective based on sort of like where you're looking at this elephant. And so I'm curious to tie this like into what you were just saying. Like you were talking about how many customers you have as a data org, and as Allium, you have in some sense one data set. It's not just a data warehouse that other people bring their own data to. It's not BYOD. It's no, you bring their data to them actually.
Yes.
And so it's a full stack like data warehouse.
Yes.
And so I guess y'all are the masters of the semantic layer because you are the masters of understanding what the hell's in that data warehouse. And so like how do you think of building a semantic layer or building stuff for agents when it's one data set that serves everybody's needs as opposed to this like, customization? So
I would caveat that within the data set, there are like many different use case verticals that we get better at, right?
Sure.
And it's fun. Also, another fun fact that we are customers of both Omni for our internal analytics and also MotherDuck for like a lot of our different parts of our analytics stack as well. For Jamie's argument about being the semantic layer, I do think that's never going to go away, right? Because how do you make compute really fast and cheap and easy? I mean, there's one way you just make the cost go down over time, but at the end of the day, like better organization of data would significantly reduce compute. It doesn't have to do it in a dumb way. It just goes straight to the point.
Yeah.
And I think as efficiency gets more and more important over the next 3 to 5 years, you use both, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't think it's one or the other. I know I sound so boring, but it's both, right?
Yeah.
And at Allium, what we see is that, again, because our core value prop is being that semantic layer, that's number one. But number two, we are also trying to get our costs down as much as we can for our customers as well, right? Because our customers see us as the Omni plus MotherDuck plus Snowflake plus Databricks plus Postgres plus a bit of that analyst, like human analyst, all combined in one and go like, work with Allium, all your problems go away. And that's kind of like where we kind of fit in.
Put it on the website.
Yeah.
I think this is a great time to transition to the alpha zone. Okay. So we talked about sort of like you're responsible for building like the master semantic layer for blockchain data.
Yes.
What is in that semantic layer? Is it like a lot of definitions? Is it a lot of like specific roll-up recipes? Is it just extreme normalization of this data to kind of get everything started? Like, what have you baked in?
So we have all of the above and a lot more, right? To answer very shortly. So we have baked in decoding of every single protocol that is worthy to be decoded, right? That's number one. Number two, it's the normalization. And so they just want to know that this amount of value went from wallet A, address A to address B at this time, and how much, and this definitively happened.
I see.
And so to get to that point, right, so much has to happen. That's the first layer, but then there's a whole entire human societal layer on top of that, and that's also where we come in. So we haven't actually mentioned this yet, but we have our own entire proprietary data set. So we have an entire data science team just focused on attribution of the data. So what does attribution mean? So blockchain data is public, so you know what happened when it happened. But if you want to know who did what and for what purpose, that requires a lot of understanding of like these wallets, these like big exchanges, what did they do, these big funds, the on-ramps and off-ramps, which country these the transactions happen. And that's where we are doing our own investigative work, our own data science work, and then you combine both together, you get an even more complete picture as well.
So these are like big annotation tasks where you're taking all this raw data and you're trying to add context to it.
Yes. I think at Allium, we have a lot of AI agents internally, like of course, like especially on the reliability side, because right now the surface area we cover is so much. We have like 5 petabytes of data now. Yeah. And of course, like I don't like to say that we're 100% accurate. We're maybe 99.9% accurate plus. But even if you're just a little bit off, your customers get angry, right? Totally. And so how do you create agents to make sure that you diagnose and debug and fix it in a quick amount of time, right? Because at the end of the day, like why people purchase us is because we're accountable to the outcomes, we're accountable to our mistakes as well.
Right.
And so the agents, like I see it as like you use agents, number one, to keep business as usual maintenance such that you don't do any unforced errors. Yeah. That's the first layer, like that's how we think about it. And then the next layer for using AI agents, it's like, how can I automate creating new schemas quicker, right? And because we have like 12,000 DBT models today and growing, one of the biggest DBT model deployments in the world today. Wow. And I think it's probably top 1% in the world, right, of DBT model deployments. And we have all that training data, parsing of domain expertise that's already encoded, right? Like I know there's a lot of, and this is done by human experts, not by AI. Right? And so like in the Merkels of the world, like I like to say that we have transferred the domain expertise into and codified it, right? Onto all these models, and how do we accelerate that? And then of course on the user experience layer, on the AI agents piece, right? Like how do you make it easier for our customers to query questions? So that's more on the product side and the engineering side. I do believe that like my dream state is that like anytime there's a business decision for our customer, there's an Allium agent in the background that says, hey, you're trying to make this decision. I already pulled out 10 different charts to prove or disprove this thesis out, right? And I think it's gonna get to that more ambient like type of like background running tasks. And right now it's like, if you're too lazy to ask your data analyst in the company, what do you think of it? Like ideally that decision-making information should be pushed directly to the decision makers themselves directly. And I think this is where deploying an agent within another company's environment that is trusted with all the right handshakes is gonna be the dream.
Awesome. When you were first getting into like crypto and the blockchain, did you write your own like mini version of Allium? Were you already sort of like understanding the data engineering work to build something like this?
Yeah, Chenglin and I were already building these NFT scrapers and understanding like the distributions of holders. I think a lot of different teams were doing that, and that was like everyone was actually there were a lot of people doing that at that point in time. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. What's a question about crypto that you ask like every week at the minimum, but maybe even more? Like what's your daily, like, I'm just curious about X?
I mean, I always ask existential questions like, why do we have to exist in an industry? Sorry. And like always ask, the number one thing I always ask every single customer, potential customer, it's like, why the hell do you need crypto? Right?
Yeah.
I ask that to them every single day. And so to keep them honest, keep me honest, and keep everybody in the industry honest.
Yeah. And if I remember correctly, you're hiring quite a bit?
Yes, we are hiring quite a bit. We are hiring for engineers who want to deal with 5 petabytes of data, and we replicate it across the world, many different regions, so it's about 30 petabytes. The entire worldwide index of not the content, just the links itself, is about 200 petabytes. So we're about that 3%-ish of the entire world's web today. Wow. So if you're interested at that scale, like we have so many problems to fix. We are like the top customers for most of these infrastructure providers themselves, and we always blaze the trail for them on storage formats and all that. That's number one. And on the other end, right, we want to recreate the data querying understanding experience, and I'm super passionate about reducing the cost of curiosity. How do you do that with agents, the right visualization at the right time, with the right methodology? And like we are hiring for product engineers, full stack engineers that just like are just obsessed with creating the best possible experience for these for data, right?
Awesome.
Or for insights per se. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much. This is fun.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
And when you're a data scientist, you get these Slack messages that you dread, which are like, I have a quick question. And it's like, can you do this 12 hours of data engineering work and then 17 hours of analysis to answer this question that I will forget about tomorrow? And you're like, yeah, sure.